I like to talk. People say, how would you describe who you are, what you do? If I was on another planet and they say, well, who are you? I'm a talking head. I love to talk.
This ain't if you didn't think I'd run from this, did you? This ain't Johnny. I ain't gonna run from it. I'm gonna deal with it. You think I haven't had somebody on the show because they're gay? What's wrong with you, man? I'm black. I'm black, man.
Late-night legend, 80s comedy rebel, and at the heart of some of the biggest TV controversies of his time, Arsenio Hall didn't just break into Hollywood, he crashed through every norm along the way. From his eyebrow-raising interview with Minister Louis Farrakhan that lit up protest lines, to the showdown with LGBTQ+ activists calling out his guest lineup, to wild rumors about a secret rehab stint, and oh, did someone say lawsuit with Sinead O'Connor over Prince? Yeah, it's about to get very real. Buckle up as we dive deep into the controversies that shaped, shook, and nearly sank the king of late-night TV himself. Arsenio Hall came into the world on February 12, 1956, in Cleveland, Ohio. With a dad who was a Baptist preacher and a mom who took on raising him after his parents split, Arsenio's early years were anything but quiet. Even as a kid, he was already grabbing attention, trying his hand at magic tricks to impress anyone who'd watch. He kicked off college at Ohio University, then switched it up and moved to Kent State. But the Midwest wasn't where he saw his future. So after school, Arsenio set out for Chicago and eventually LA, diving headfirst into the comedy scene.
Nancy Wilson funded my move to California. Jay Leno gave me the advice I needed. Yeah, just go.
It wasn't all glitz, though. His early days were filled with grind gigs and small-time slots. He popped up on shows like Soul Train and The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, using those appearances as stepping stones to something bigger. He took on the announcer gig as Alan Thicke's sidekick on Thick of the Night, though he admits he was often mistaken for Let's Make a Deal's Monty Hall, which definitely left him a bit baffled. Not long after, he made waves with a 5-week run on NBC's short-lived match game Hollywood Squares Hour in the early 80s. In 1986, Arsenio lent his voice to Winston Zeddemore on the Real Ghostbusters animated series. But it was his role in Coming to America alongside Eddie Murphy that really made audiences take notice. Around this time, he launched Arsenio Hall Communications and signed a 2-year multi-film deal with Paramount Pictures. Arsenio was on a serious roll, diving into movies with a drive to make his mark in Hollywood.
I want you and that young man to tie that knot. I'm gonna pray for you.
Coming to America is a 1988 romantic comedy with a whole lot of heart and laughs. Eddie Murphy dreamed up the original story. Directed by John Landis, the film brings together a star lineup, including Arsenio Hall, James Earl Jones, John Amos, Madge Sinclair, and Sherry Headley. It hit theaters on June 29, 1988.
Do you think perhaps just once I might use the bathroom by myself?
Most amusing, sir.
So, in the kingdom of Zamunda, Prince Akeem is over his pampered life. On his 21st birthday, he's introduced to a bride, but he's determined to find someone who loves him, not his title. So, he and his best friend Semi head to Queens, New York, posing as broke students. They end up working at McDowell's, a local burger joint, where Akeem falls for the owner's daughter, Lisa, who has everything he's looking for. The problem? Lisa's boyfriend, Daryl, and her dad, Cleo, think Akeem's broke. When Cleo discovers Akeem's a prince, he's thrilled, until Lisa finds out the truth and feels betrayed. Akeem offers to give up his title for her, but she turns him down. However, at the wedding back in Zamunda, Akeem is shocked when Lisa shows up as his bride, and they ride off together with Lisa now embracing her new royal life. In '89, they even tried out a spin-off TV series, but that idea fizzled out after just a pilot. Fast forward to 2021, and we got Coming to America, the much-anticipated sequel bringing back some major laughs and plenty of nostalgia on March 4th. Coming to America was a full-on celebration of African culture, from its vibrant costumes to the royalty-inspired scenes in a made-up African kingdom that mixed tradition with modern vibes. The film challenged old-school stereotypes and showcased a positive, regal side of Africa that Hollywood had pretty much ignored until then. Its style left a major mark on fashion and music, too. Just check out Busta Rhymes' "Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Could See" for a straight-up homage. Since its release, the movie's jokes, quotes, and life lessons have been passed down like family stories, making it a classic that just keeps on giving. Plus, it was a career boost for tons of black actors and comedians, proving that movies with mostly black casts could totally crush it at the box office. In the end, Coming to America didn't just make people laugh. It broke boundaries, changed perceptions, and cemented its spot in pop culture history. Back in 1986, when Fox decided to shake up late-night TV with The Late Show starring Joan Rivers, a direct shot at Johnny Carson's Tonight Show, the ratings didn't hold, and the network's relationship with Rivers took a nosedive, leading to her exit in 1987. From there, The Late Show became a revolving door of hosts: Ross Schaefer, Suzanne Summers, Sean Thompson, Richard Belzer, and Robert Townsend, among others, before it wrapped up in 1988. Then Arsenio stepped in as host for a bit in late '87, and audiences were all in, giving him enough momentum to land his own show.
This is my show. This is my show. You understand? This is my show.
So, in January 1989, the Arsenio Hall show hit the airwaves and was an instant late-night hit, especially with younger viewers. The crowd didn't just clap, they went for the woof, woof, woof chant, pumping their fists in a whole new twist on audience hype. By 1991, Arsenio's chant was everywhere, even popping up in movies like Pretty Woman and The Hard Way. When Jay Leno got the reins of The Tonight Show, Arsenio wasn't shy about his confidence, saying he'd kick Jay's ass in the ratings.
This ain't if you didn't think I'd run from this, did you? This ain't Johnny. I ain't gonna run from it. I'm gonna deal with it. You know what I'm saying?
The Arsenio Hall show was the spot for anyone looking for hype energy, big-name guests, and a whole new kind of late-night TV that connected with younger viewers like never before. One of its all-time best moments? When then presidential candidate Bill Clinton dropped by in '92 and busted out a saxophone solo. That move made Clinton seem way more relatable and scored him major points with a younger, diverse crowd, definitely a game-changer for his campaign. Then there was Tupac. When he took the stage, he didn't just stick to music, he got real about social issues and his own experiences. That raw honesty struck a chord with fans, proving the show could dive into serious territory when it needed to. Arsenio had a knack for bringing the energy every night with a lineup that blended musical performances, comedy sketches, and unforgettable interviews. He made space for artists who didn't usually get a shot on mainstream TV, and some of the biggest names passed through, like Prince, who pulled off a rare interview and performance, plus the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air cast reuniting on set. Arsenio's stage also helped launch icons like Mariah Carey and Snoop Dogg when they were still fresh on the scene. This show wasn't just about laughs and music. It defined an era and left a legacy that still impacts late-night TV today. The Arsenio Hall show wasn't all smooth sailing, and some real drama contributed to its end. The biggest controversy? Arsenio's interview with Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam's leader, back in February 1994. Farrakhan talked about hot-button topics like racism and anti-Semitism, and Arsenio faced major backlash for what people saw as a too gentle approach. Some felt he didn't press Farrakhan hard enough, which stirred up protests from various groups, including Jewish and LGBTQ+ communities, who tried to get Arsenio to cancel Farrakhan's appearance altogether. Instead, Arsenio pushed back and aired the interview but planned to add pre-recorded counterpoints, which didn't end up making it to broadcast. This whole situation didn't sit well with a lot of people and was one of the reasons fans say his show started to lose viewers. On top of this, The Tonight Show and Late Show with David Letterman were crushing it in ratings, which only made things tougher for Arsenio. All of these factors together finally led to the show wrapping up in '94. Back in '91, Arsenio got some heat from gay rights activists for supposedly avoiding openly gay guests on his show. Things got intense when protesters from Queer Nation confronted him, and he fired back, saying his guest list had nothing to do with people's sexuality. He mentioned that he'd had guests like Elton John on before, but their sexuality wasn't what his show was about.
Wait, I'm sorry, why don't I have any gay guests on my show? Well, there are a lot of gay guests who really don't like to talk about their sexual preference, so we don't know whether they're gay or not.
Arsenio was frustrated by the assumptions, explaining that he chose guests for their work, not their private lives. He also pointed out that times were different then. Many celebs, including people like Luther Vandross and Ellen DeGeneres, hadn't come out publicly yet.
You think I haven't had somebody on the show because they're gay? What's wrong with you, man? I'm black! I'm black, man!
It turns out, though, that Arsenio Hall was totally ahead of the curve when it came to supporting gay rights, long before it became mainstream, especially in black culture. After laying down his argument, he got a wave of support from the audience with loud "woof" chants. Plus, during this time, he used his platform to tackle prejudice against HIV/AIDS, especially after Magic Johnson revealed he had the virus. Arsenio and Magic teamed up to film a public service announcement about the disease that aired in the early 90s, making a real impact. In 1997, after vanishing from the spotlight for 3 years, Arsenio Hall decided to set the record straight about why he disappeared. He said, "I hopped on the internet and saw people spreading wild rumors that I was in detox at Betty Ford. So I logged in under a fake name and typed, 'I know Arsenio better than anyone else, and he's not in detox, you fools.'" Hall is also a dad, welcoming his son in 1998. He took a break from showbiz to focus on fatherhood before making his big return with The Arsenio Hall Show in 2013. He always had a feeling he'd come back, but it wasn't until he popped up on Lopez Tonight in 2009 that it was official, even though he initially thought about doing a weekend show so he wouldn't compete with his buddy George Lopez for ratings. Things got a bit messy in 2016 when Hall slapped a $5 million defamation lawsuit on Sinead O'Connor after she claimed he had a hand in fueling Prince's drug issues and even spiked his drink at a party at Eddie Murphy's place. But once O'Connor apologized and took back her words, Hall dropped the lawsuit.